Well, hello, friends. Welcome to the Business for Unicorns podcast. Today is really a thrilling day for me. It's kind of a special one because I don't often get to interview and talk to other business coaches. And today I'm talking to Ashley Selman, who is international presenter and speaker, business coach extraordinaire, all around fitness business badass. And so we get to talk about all the things that I talk about people with on the phone and Zoom all day, every day. And she knows she knows what it's like. So without further ado, let's welcome to the virtual stage, Ashley. Welcome.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks so much for being here. Yeah, thanks so much for having this conversation. We haven't really gotten to connect or chat much at all. So this is really a first date for us.
Exactly. I know. So far, so good. Let's see.
I came dressed in my finest denim shirt for you. So for starters, and I'm starting all my conversations here, which is just, what's this COVID journey been like for you? It's been a roller coaster. We're recording this, kind of mid-January. This will probably get released maybe in February. And so, what's the last almost year of COVID been like for you?
Gosh, I know. What a crazy year. I mean, you being in New York and I'm in California. And I think, we've been closed probably some of the longest of any of the states out there. We're still closed, although we have what's considered essential workers at our business. So we have physical therapy and chiropractic, and that's actually grown and stabilized for us a bit. And we're doing some outdoor training. We have a parking lot behind our studio we have big roll-up doors that open right to it, so we can kind of bring equipment out there. So that's been a lifesaver for us. Man, it's been an emotional roller coaster though. I 6 months ago, I was really close to just saying, throwing the towel. I don't know, if this is the direction to go anymore. I think now that we're still kind of standing and things are stabilized at a much word, maybe like literally 30 to 40% of revenue of what we were doing before. Our business model is independent contractors renting our space, and we have a great community of those contractors. But so we couldn't really pivot virtually the way that some studios could because we didn't own all the clients. So it's been rough, but I think the silver lining, which, it's kind of become a cliche expression during this, but we got to look at it that way, right? The silver lining has been the opportunity to really pause and look at the business with a different lens of what do I really want going forward, what was working and what wasn't, frankly. But like when you're in the middle of it and it's moving fast and it's going well, it's really hard to make baseline changes to your model or to what's happening, right? Because you're going to disappoint people or it's going to disrupt things too much. And so we have this opportunity to change what we want. And so I'm trying to look at that as I kind of reinvent things going into this year, and hoping by, summer, fall, we get sort of back to, a little more normalcy. I mean, it's still unknown how our clients going to come back to the industry. Although I strongly believe that there will be a place for, we specialize in personal training, which I think will definitely come back. Because people miss the in-person. Zooms were great in the beginning. It was something we could do, but at the end of the day, people are still thriving or, desiring that in-person connection. So once people feel safe, I think it is going to be a good opportunity. But it's been a rough year. I mean, it's been a lot of emotions for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Ashley, you're echoing a lot of the things I've heard talking to people this last year, which is many people had a moment where they're like, "Am I done now? Is this it? Is it time to just do something else?" And that's saying a lot, because you know this as well as I do, that people who get into this business in this industry are really passionate about it. I mean, their heart is really in it. So to get to the breaking point where you're thinking about maybe just walking away, that's how stressful it's been.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I get, to your point, I agree that I think, that folks one in-person experience. There's, that there maybe some people will stick on Zoom, and I think virtual is probably here to stay, as are all the other technologies that are competing with in-person. They're growing and they're staying. But yeah, I would love to just hear more about your thoughts about that. Like, what do you see for the future? I mean, given the fact that we've now lived through it will be more than a year, maybe likely close to 2, where many people are kind of forced to go online. Do you think, is that a bubble, or do you think that the online services are really going to have to be incorporated and they're here to stay?
Yeah, I mean, I think what this has done for people for sure is they've forced people to get online, even those that maybe would never have gotten online before. All age groups, people who didn't know that much about technology have kind of been forced to go online. So it's broken that barrier. And so I do think it's going to be here to stay. But I think it's going to be more hybrid. I think people there are limits to online, both from the emotional kind of I'm with someone in person as well as coaching somebody in person. You can do a lot online, but it's not quite the same. You can't get quite the level of detail. Equipment is limited. So the experience is not exactly the same, especially when you're talking about, personal training and strength training.
Yep.
Peloton's done an amazing job. And I think, a bike workout maybe is easier to replicate online than maybe a strength workout where you're using a bunch of different equipment, and
yeah, of course,
it becomes really important. So I think it's gonna become more hybrid. I think it's gonna be, okay, how do we blend the two? Maybe I see someone less often in person and I supplement it with virtual, something like that. But
yeah, I'm right with you. And whenever I've been talking to folks, I think I'm preparing them for this reality. So I agree 100%. I think it's going to be a hybrid, and Mark Fisher Fitness was one of those places where we really hadn't talked much about really ever focusing online, pivoted in 72 hours, have been crushing it online. And like, should we ever go back to in person? And now we're preparing ourselves for this hybrid world where people are going to want both. They've had a taste of the remote. They have the taste of being able to take class from anywhere, anytime in the living room without having to go out in the snow or the rain.
The convenience factor is huge.
Yeah, or just with their. I know you are a new parent with their baby on the ground next to them where they can work out and not have to get a babysitter. I mean, there's so many positives, but I think you're right. I think if I had a crystal ball, it's telling me there's going to be some sort of hybrid that I think if you can achieve it in your model, that you'll have a competitive advantage.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. So tell me this. So I know, you obviously run a facility and you're also a business coach. So, have the perspective of being in the trenches and doing it yourself and helping others do it. And one of the core things that I know that we do as business coaches is help people set goals, track their progress, and achieve them. And as basic as that might sound to us and to some listeners and viewers, that's a hard thing for some people to do, to really set clear goals, create clear metrics, consistently track them, learn from those over time. So, when you're talking to businesses, how do you get them to do that?
Well, I think one of the reasons why it's a challenge, I mean, as we know, a lot of fitness business owners were fitness first and not so much business. And they get into, as you mentioned, they're passionate. They want to do more. They want to change more lives. They want to go to the next step in their career, but business is not the driving force for them to go into business. So, so there's often a lack of business foundation, understanding, knowing what's important to think about from the business standpoint. There's also maybe a little bit of an aversion. They don't enjoy it as much, so they can kind of hide behind working with their clients, and not really recognize the importance of focusing on some of the key fundamentals. So I think I first just talk about why it's so important to kind of be a business owner, step into your role as an owner. What does that mean? What does that look like? And then really break down. I try to talk really like just nuts and bolts, not too big, high, but really like day to day, what are the things you really need to focus on and why, and how do we simplify it so it doesn't feel overwhelming? I think when someone feels overwhelmed, and I know this for myself, if I feel overwhelmed about something, I'm going to avoid it.
Yeah.
So I try to make it really just, these are the core pillars we want to focus on. I try to go step by step, one thing at a time. So it just like we do with our clients, right? Like make the process feel doable and give them success along the way, so that they continue to be motivated to learn versus running away because it's too much and they're not having fun.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's such a great analogy, Ashley, right? Honestly, for listeners, if you're someone who struggles to set your own goals and have metrics and track your progress, I think starting with why you're interested, and this is the same thing you help your clients do, what brought you in today? What is the one thing that made today that be the day you walked into this gym? And you get really clear on the why, on the thing that's driving it. And then, you really try and take it one step at a time. Keep it simple. make it bite size. Again, this is such a great analogy for what all the coaches and trainers listening do every single day. So how do you treat yourself, like a student of your business?
And most of those coaches are probably great at setting goals for themselves in their fitness and in their nutrition, and deciding what competition, what Spartan race they're going to do this year or something. But when it comes to business, I think they just don't even know what the appropriate goals are to set often.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where do I start? If it is about metrics, what metrics? And if it is about profit, where do I start? How do I know even what numbers to set and what's behind those numbers? So helping them understand why. I agree with you. The why is super important. And then the how of like, what are those things to focus on?
Yeah. So, and where do you recommend that they turn to? I mean, obviously they should hire you and hire me. We can come tell them, right? But in the absence of hiring a coach, where else can people, look to find, okay, what should my profit margin be? What should I be paying my trainers? I know, from my own experience, we're in an industry that has historically not done an amazing job of having great data available about ourselves. And so it's hard to find this information. So where do you look? Where do you tell people to look?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I do think there is some good data you can find online just by Google search, that kind of stuff. Also, different organizations like IDEA and URSA, the kind of bigger educational organizations have will come up with their annual reports of like, what's the average pay, what's the average profit, that kind of stuff. Going to those type of events where you can hear from multiple speakers and or even meet with people and kind of compare notes. But I think just setting the intent of you want to know that, you can find it if you know what you're looking for. And so
for sure. Yeah. I'll even add to that list, which is excuse me, that I think one of the places I've seen people really look is affinity groups, whether it's, a paid mastermind or a casual Facebook group, a peer group of some kind. And I find that one of the real positives to the fitness industry is I find people are very generous, very open and transparent. All the groups that I've been part of or seen or run, I've seen people, totally put out very transparent information about their business. Not everyone, right? Not everyone's that, but on the whole, people are very open to share what's working for them and what metrics and what their benchmarks are. And I think if you ask, you'd be surprised how open people are to sharing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think especially, with brick and mortar businesses, we're not competitors of each other. I'm in California and you're in New York. Tell me what you're doing. I'll tell you what I'm doing. It's not, so there is kind of a spirit of collaboration, which I think is awesome. So
yeah, totally. Well, let's switch gears. I want to talk a little bit about building and retaining your team, because I think beforehand I send out a survey and ask everyone, one of the questions I ask is like, what's your greatest superpower? And you said trainer retention, which is, I think, a superpower many of our listeners and viewers will want. Yeah. And so when you think about building and retaining your team, and in your case, in your facility, they're independent contractors, but still, you still have to create an environment that they want to stay in. So what's your approach, generally speaking, to building and retaining your team?
Yeah. Well, you hit the nail on the head, is that you want to create the environment that the trainers you're seeking are going to want to be a part of. And so it goes back a little bit to vision and like, what are you trying to create and who are you as an owner? What's the kind of core values of your business? Because I really think the reason why I've had good retention, I started as a manager in a fitness facility that were employee-based, and learned a ton of lessons. So I tell the story a lot when I speak, but this company raised $10 million to grow quickly. 5,000 square foot fitness studio, $10 million to replicate themselves 100 times. And there were a lot of mistakes made that I got to learn from. And one was not taking care of their team in a way that empowered their team and made the team feel important and feel like they were really, I mean, let's face it, if you are a fitness studio that does face-to-face interactions with clients, the trainers who have those interactions are key to the success of your business. So taking care of those people and making them feel like they're growing, they're empowered, they have kind of future potential with you is really key.
Yeah, they are the experience, right?
They are the experience. Exactly. So for me, and when I say I have an independent contractor studio, it's true in the sense that they're paying, the trainers pay me rent as business owners. So it's not the 1099, I'm kind of skirting having employees. I want them to kind of own their business, and I'm there to kind of mentor them, help them grow and create this community. So we have It's fun. We can rely on each other. We don't feel like we're on our own. And I'm looking for trainers that want that. I'm looking for trainers that have a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit, who want the autonomy, who want the responsibility of billing their clients, or maybe they don't want that, but they're not afraid of that responsibility. Managing their schedule, things like that. So if you're looking more for an employee, maybe you want someone who really values education, who wants to really be taken to the next level of their training and shown how to do that, and given more opportunities and help running the business, whether it's management or teaching other trainers. And what do you see in your business as being key? And then find those people that fits with, because that's going to be what causes retention, when the alignment of core values between you and your team continue to stay consistent. So as an owner, being really clear on your vision so you can stay consistent. You're not bouncing around with what you're looking for, but it's consistent, and you're attracting those people. And the reason why I said that's my superpower, we opened with 7 trainers 15 years ago, and 6 of those trainers are still with us. And at this point, over half of our team has been there 10 years or more. So there is this sort of like match between what they want in their career and what I'm offering. And I think that's been the key to the success there.
Yeah, that's amazing. Congrats to you. I mean, it's got to be something to be so proud of, the fact that you can, create a relationship like that lasts that long, right? I know marriages that haven't even lost half that long, right? And so good for you. And it's really amazing. And I think that the thing I love so much about your answer is that you mentioned a bunch of things that I think every organization should have that they often don't, right? A clear vision, some values, some core values, right? Clear job descriptions, right? Because you can't find someone who's aligned with the organization if you don't know what you're aligning it with. And oftentimes when I talk to folks, they think that, exercise about a vision or a value or, whatever, that they're just like academic things that business coaches tell them to do. But it's like, it's just a piece of paper you shove in your desk, but it's not. When you have those things, you use them to attract people who you are aligned with, hopefully long term. So I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Totally. I know those things can seem so corporate, like core values. I'm a fitness studio. Why do I need core value? But it's informing your decision making, and it's also informing others, what they need to know,
Yeah, that's who I am. Yeah.
Them. Yeah.
Yeah. Oftentimes I think of those things, mission, vision, values, et cetera, as like, the dating profile of a company, right? If we're going to date and we're going to attract people, and in this case, we're attracting employees or, contractors, that they need to know what we're all about. What do we stand for? What do we care about? And I think that really matters. So let's just, jump ahead. So imagine you've attracted the right person. How do you keep them? And you kind of started talking about this a little bit more, but, especially keeping them 16 years, right? I mean, like all relationships, it gets stale after a while. So how do you think about long-term retention of employees?
Yeah, I think 2 key components of that is, one is just, as you mentioned a couple times, the relationship. Like, these are relationships. And so those relationships need to continue to grow and develop. And what does that mean? That means trust is a huge thing. Like, do you know your people well enough? Do they trust you? I'm a real believer in being really transparent with my people. During COVID, this whole year, it's like I've had to message to my team very transparently what is going on with the business. And, it's been tough at times, and it's not always good news, but that builds trust so that you can maintain those long-term relationships. Just spending time with your people, getting to know them, having fun with them outside of just work. So the relationship piece is big. And then the other piece is, which the relationship helps with, is knowing them well enough to know and to get information from them of what do they want as they grow. So continuing to challenge them and continuing to gradually give them more autonomy over time. The big reason people leave positions, as hear this sometimes, it's not about pay. It's about not having the either growth potential, not even money, but in their skill set, in their responsibilities, and also autonomy to do more of what they want. So an example might be, let's say you hire an employee who's maybe a greener trainer, and you want to train them to be a great trainer, and you go through a 1 or 2 year training program, and this trainer's really developed. If you don't have a next step for them, they're going to be like, great, thanks a lot. Now I feel like I'm a great trainer. I'm going to go out and do my own thing over here. And that's human nature. There's nothing wrong with that. They want to continue to grow. So how can you provide that for them to keep them as long as possible?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's time for someone to go, and that's also okay. I think as a business owner, we need to know that that's going to happen, and you can't take it personally or have that make you feel like they've done something wrong. That's just human nature. But I think, if that's happening to you constantly, then you got to look at, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, of course. And you're right, Ash. I think this is one of the core challenges in our industry is that most training studios and even big box gyms, right? They're only so big. There's only so much vertical growth that a person can do. There's only so many raises you can get. There's only so many managers or supervisors or extra tasks. And so, you have to sometimes get creative in finding ways to get people to take on more responsibility or change their roles. And so, yeah, I agree. It's a big challenge. I think we have to kind of get creative. But I love what you said about making sure that each individual feels kind of invested in and and seen and heard, and use the word mentorship earlier. I think is just a key idea for continue to train people. Let me ask you this, because one of the pushbacks I get, or one of the challenges I see with a lot of my Business Unicorns clients, is that they want to be a mentor for their coaches or their employees, and this includes front desk or sales employees, etc. And the employees just like, no, I'm good. That they want to invest in them and help them grow and learn. And the employee's like, no, I'm fine. Just the way things are. It's cool. What do you do when that happens?
So two things come to mind. First is that goes back to the core value alignment. When you're actually, I feel like a key to retention is your interview process, right? When you're interviewing, like the things that are important to you, if you want to be a mentor, or if you want someone that's growth minded, like how can you assess that in the interview? Hey, people change, and I'm not saying that's going to guarantee it, but that will definitely set you on a better track of knowing that, again, what's important to you aligns with what's important to your employee or your staff member that's joining you. So getting really clear in the interview process. But then once they're there and that's happening, it's tricky. I mean, I think, again, finding out what they're interested in, what they want. If they're really just that dispassionate and like, I don't want to grow. I mean, is that someone you want on your team? Those could become becoming hard decisions. If it's more like, no, the growth opportunity you're offering me isn't interesting to me. That maybe is different. Like, well, then what is interesting to them? And can your business provide it, or can't, or maybe it can't? And that's where sometimes it is right time to part directions when someone wants to go in a different direction and it's not a fit for your business. You can't force your business to be able to take care of everyone. As you said, we're limited in fitness business on how many opportunities we can give. But I do think we can get creative, and I do think we can make it a collaborative process with that person so they feel involved in their own development.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, Ashley. Just, I think all too often I talk to business owners who have a very clear path in their mind for each individual, but it's not a collaborative vision. Right? The vision is very one-sided. But this is what I see for you. You want it or not. And I think that's a great point. Is either you've got the wrong person at the hiring process, or that maybe you have an opportunity there to be more collaborative about what that vision is going to be. The vision might be you have to separate someday. The vision also just might be different than what you thought it would be as an owner. So I think that's smart. Cool.
Yeah, a good example of how when I was at a company previously where we had this growth structure. I was like, okay, you're going to be a trainer, and then you're going to be a master trainer, and then you're going to be a team leader managing other trainers. And it was like this very clear growth path, which made all the trainers want to go on that growth path. So if you were motivated at all, you wanted to be a team leader. But ultimately, most of those trainers didn't really want to be a manager, or did they have the skill set? But the company made it sound like if you didn't get to team leader, then you weren't really growing or being successful. So it created this like weird where people wanted it because of the title and because of the growth, but it really fit what they wanted. And so it caused a lot of problems in the end. So I agree with you, being clear. Don't just put what you want as this is what it's going to be, but really,
And I think you're right. Yeah, I think you used the word autonomy before as being really important to the relationship. And I think that's really true. That when we've been able to give people on our team at MFF more freedom, more autonomy, I'm often surprised in the directions they want to go or the directions they help take the business. And that's the best kind of surprise for me, at least as a leader, is I help groom someone, give them freedom, and then they help grow the business or themselves in directions I could have never envisioned. And that's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Definitely.
Yeah. I want to switch gears. I want to cover one more topic if I think we have time, which is a lot of the folks that I'm talking to, and I'm sure this is true with your clients as well. They're business owners. They've been in it for, maybe 5-10 years, and they want to slowly have more time. They want to, maybe in the first 5 years, as most entrepreneurs, they're just hustling. The next maybe 5 or so years, they're able to slow down a little bit, but not really get the time for themselves that they want. They don't really have, they want a hobby. they want to spend some time with the kids. They want to take a month off. And I think, it's one of the things that we're always kind of selling as fitness business coaches is helping you find more freedom, more flexibility. I mean, it's on the front of our website for Business for Unicorns, right? This idea of business owners wanting more freedom. So, so how do you teach people to replace themselves in the business and get that free time as business owners? What's the path look like?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think that's one of the number one things that most fitness business owners need. I don't know if this is true, and better than I do in other industries probably, but I see it so much as business owners just running themselves into the ground because they're doing it all. They can't step away from training the clients because that's how they create a lot of their income. And then they can't step away from doing the marketing. They can't step away from doing the operations. And it's too much. You can't wear all those hats. But again, it's like, where do you start? It's overwhelming. I don't even know how do I get myself out of these roles? And so I spend a lot of time coaching people on not time management, because it's not time management. It's like you only have so many hours in a day. It's like but it's like time prioritization. What are your skill sets, both personally as a person and also in terms of the business, that are the highest value? What is going to give you the biggest return on your time? And for some, training their clients is still a pretty big high value thing, especially early on. But some of the operational things that are more administrative in nature, you could hire out and train someone for less money than you're probably making training your clients. So I think a mistake people sometimes make is get talked into trying to get rid of their clients and lower their client load. And they end up doing administration with that time, and that's the wrong direction because they're losing income and they're not replacing it with the activities that they're doing. So being really strategic, and again, it's step by step. What's the first thing I can get off my plate? What's the first thing I can delegate? What's the first thing I can hire for? And how do I replace that income? So maybe I can clear 5 admin hours off my hour a week and add 1 training client even. And I've just got 4 free hours and it's not costing me any money because my training is paying for that. That's just an example. And then you blow that out. And then the next phase, I call it sort of $10, $100, $1,000 tasks, just as like a way to visualize it.
Yeah.
Our tasks, and I don't necessarily mean it's literally $10, but it is more the administrative, operational, business function, to-do list type things that have to get done in the business. Those are what we want to delegate first. The $100 tasks are more the face-to-face client interactions, and we keep those for a while, but eventually you want to spend more time in the $1,000 tasks. And those are usually the tasks that a lot of fitness owners don't even really understand what those are or how to do them. So they got to learn and train over time. But those are, the team building, the recruiting and hiring, marketing and strategy and vision, and all the things that give you exponential growth beyond an hour of training sessions. So it needs to be a gradual progression. It's not going to happen immediately, but that's the path I try to put people on.
Yeah, and that makes so much sense, Ashley. And I'm totally going to give you credit, but steal that idea of $10, $100, $1,000. It's so smart.
Somewhere myself.
That's fantastic. And it really makes so much sense. I mean, the first thing you said was really just getting clear about prioritizing your tasks. What are the most important things for you to hold on to, either because they make you money or they're important to the business, and what are the least important things that you can delegate or hire someone to do. And often, like you said, it's oftentimes for people who are still on the coaching floor, those are administrative things you have to give away first. They're just not the best use of your time. But I love that. I'm going to make a recommendation based on that idea, is that for listeners, And viewers who want to do more of that and get more free time, just go sit down and spend 10 minutes and make a list of the tasks that are on your plate that are the $10 tasks, the $100 tasks, the $1,000 tasks. I think it's a great exercise, and it gives you a landscape to play with, right? It gives you a whole three whole lists. You can then prioritize and say, okay, well, what is the best use of my time? So I think you're absolutely right. It's a fantastic way of thinking about that journey. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. Cool. So I know, I want to be respectful of your time, and we're getting right at the 30-minute mark. So I want to wrap things up by asking you our final 5 questions. These are 5 questions I ask every guest. They're kind of meant to be rapid fire, but you also can take your damn time, I'm not the boss of you, but, and they're all just meant to be about you as a gym owner and your experience in this industry. So let's do it. Ashley, question number 1 is, what is just one thing you love about being a gym owner?
Ooh, good question. I think it's the people. It's just, I love going to work every day and seeing the clients and the team and the community that we've built. And that's what I've missed during COVID, is that in-person kind of energy and community. And that is my favorite thing.
Great. Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's a people business. It's a people business. Yeah, that's amazing. All right, cool. Question number 2 is, what is the kind of coolest or most memorable thing that you've done for a client? We talk about over delivering, creating great client experience. So something you've done that was just really memorable or cool that you've done for a client.
Done some things with clients, like prepare them for hiking Half Dome, and like done a trip like that where it's sort of this big experience that motivates them, and it is people that maybe would never do something like that normally in their life. So that, I think, is always neat, to get people outside of their normal world.
That's huge. That's what a great idea. I mean, to encourage clients to have those kinds of goals is also just, I think, a really great strategy. So beautiful. Question number 3 is, when someone on your team does this, it makes you super happy. So when someone on your team does this, you just are so excited and proud.
When they take time to invest in other team members. So not just in their clients, that's kind of expected, but they take time to invest in their other team members, whether that's, being proactive and going out to coffee, or taking someone to lunch, or doing a workout together, or sharing education. I love when there's like cross sharing of education, talking about clients and how can we better help these, this certain issue that I'm having with my client. And so anyway, that team camaraderie and giving to each other, I think, is great.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Amazing. Question number 4, what are your most reliable strategy, or what is your most reliable strategy for generating leads? So you have to go generate some leads tomorrow. What do you do?
I think for us, just making sure our website, and we have good SEO, we have kind of continued content to get, because just that search engine, especially in the Bay Area, people are searching online. So just making sure our website is visible. I will admit that we don't do a ton of social media. That's never been our angle, but our website has performed well, and that gets us constantly getting leads. So
yeah, I think it's a great one. It's also just, something that is in that category of like the basics that people often just forget about. It's like, you got to have people, you got to be searchable. And when people find you, there's got to be a path to starting. So it's a great reminder.
Yeah. And I do think social media's gotten so much attention for, like, you got to do that. I think people prioritize that, and they forget that ultimately those people are going to probably go to your website anyway. So make sure that engine is working properly.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Cool. Question number 5, last one. What is one thing gym owners can start doing better tomorrow? So what's one thing you just think everyone can just start doing this better tomorrow?
Oh, there's so many things. Okay, one thing.
It's tough.
I mean, let's get consistent with some of the stuff we talked about. I would say getting really clear on what your priorities are as a business owner to help your business grow. So the clarity, the strategy of, like, what are those things? Because I think business owners get so busy in just the day-to-day and the operations and training clients, it's difficult to step back and really think about, what do I need to spend my time doing that's going to take my business forward? A lot of business owners are just kind of stuck in that cycle. They're doing okay, but they're not really progressing, but they're so busy they have a hard time making that leap. So stepping back, creating the priority and the plan of how you're going to get to the next level.
Yeah, great answer, Ashley. I love that so much. Go get clear on your priorities. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Awesome. Well, you crushed it. That was your final five. You nailed it. And this conversation has been such a damn delight. I mean, I was looking forward to it, and it was going to be great, but you exceeded my expectations. So,
Aw.
thank you for sharing, your wisdom and your experience with us. How can people find out more about you? How can they find you online? What links can we direct them to?
Yeah, I have my coaching site for business professionals is thrivestudiocoaching.com. Contact info is there. I have some online programs that are really affordable. That is a lot of great kind of step-by-step content. My gym website is evolutiontrainers.com if you just want to see what I'm doing there. And those are the two best ways to get a hold of me is through those. You can contact me through those websites.
Yeah, that's amazing. Awesome. We'll include all those in the links below. But thank you so much for your time, Ashley. I'm sure I'll have you back again, and we'll talk more about more things. Maybe when we get through this COVID roller coaster and we have a clearing, we can see if any of our predictions have come true.
Right?
Have you back. But yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks a lot, Michael. It was great.